All right, what's going on, everybody? Trey Lewellen here with the next episode of Kommerce Kings Podcast. But Chris Lee. Dude, we were just talking. You got a 2-comma club. How many 2 commas you got? You got one? You got more than one?
Just one and another one on the way here in the next couple months. So,
got one on the way. And then you got an 8-figure award.
That's right.
Which means you've done over $10 million in some sort of funnel or sales process. That's right. You know what I do? I just Photoshop it and I send it in. That's what I do.
Hey,
and then you get a cool reward. Like, that's how you do it. That's how I thought everybody did it. Maybe not. Instantly. So, dude, I can't wait to hear from you. I'm excited to talk to you and hear like what's rocking with you. What's cool is you're at Funnel Hacking Live right now.
That's right. Yeah, just here in the background, right here, hanging out in the atrium. So
out in the atrium, dude. We were there for some other event when we were selling some products to a gas company, like gas stations. They had the entire event there, and that is a cool place with the atrium. It's like waterfalls, alligators floating around. It's a little intense. Down in Tennessee. So, dude, tell me, man, how did you get to how did you do the 10 million? What was the 10 million in sales in? So
10 million comes from my my solar company where we sell everything online. We generate all of our business from online. And so actually first 12 months in business, we did just north of 25 million. So it was pretty phenomenal, rock and rolling.
And that's a solar company?
Yeah. So we sell and we install solar panels on homes. So we target the end user, homeowner.
That's amazing. And so are you still doing that or did you sell it?
No, still rocking with that. We actually recently expanded. So we've been in business 17 months. I've been in the solar industry for 5 years, but that company, Solgen Power, has been in business for 17 months. We've recently expanded into 4 other states, and the goal is to be close to 100 million this year.
And then what was the states, or like what state did you do the 25 in?
So that was all in Washington State, where my hometown area. So.
And like the whole state, or just basically one city?
Eastern Washington. So population about 800,000.
That's sweet. So is that 25 million collected, or did they get financing for that?
So about 20% of it's cash, and about the other 80% we provide the financing. We come in, we set them up with banks and do different type of things. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So do you collect all the cash and then it's just financed through the bank? So basically at the default, it's on them.
Exactly. So I mean, we get 100% of that. Yeah, we're not collecting that over time.
That's sweet. So what made you go from 4 years of nothing to 25 million in 1 year?
Well, so my background, I've been in the home product sales for the last 14 years, and 8 of those years were actually in home security, home automation.
Okay.
And while I was so I've had successes and failures, and when I first got into the solar industry, it wasn't when I as an owner. It was actually after I had kind of built myself back up from a bankruptcy that I had several years ago, and so got in the industry to learn it, and did that with a company down in San Diego where I learned the industry. Then I went and helped my buddy start his company, and we grew that in 2 years. So I was a vice president for him, me, another guy, and the original founder. We built that up in 2 years to about a $300 million company. And so then now I was like, I'm ready to go do this on my own, not really ride the coattails of anybody else. So that's when I launched Solgen. So
that's pretty sweet. Okay, so then where are you getting the solar panels from? They coming out of China? Or are they coming out of US?
Yeah. So we source our product. Actually, that's one of the things that makes us unique is we actually go and work directly with the manufacturers over in China and source it directly. Most people go through a middleman, go through a distributor. And so that's actually something we just recently brought on. Had we done that last year, we would have netted an additional $1.8 million.
Oh, just because of the margins?
Just because of margin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we already operate on about a 30 to 35% margin, but yeah, it's sourcing our product adds an additional pretty significant chunk.
So so what was the biggest pivotal point? Like what made the sales come in? Like, did you just door knocking, or was it online Facebook, or like, what was your best?
So my background actually is in the door-to-door industry. That's where I learned how to sell. Okay. I used to be, working with some of these big companies called like Vivint. I don't know if you ever heard of Vivint. But I mean, they have like 3,500 sales reps. Back when I worked with them, I was top 3 in the company, managed multiple offices and regions. And that's really where I learned how to sell. And it was about 2 years ago that I started screwing around with Facebook marketing, Facebook ads and all that good stuff. And I actually, in your space, actually in the e-com space, and I was actually drop shipping flashlights from China is the way I learned how to run Facebook ads. And while I was screwing around doing that and I started making some money doing it, I realized, holy crap, man, why don't I apply this in a space where nobody's doing it? And where the majority in the solar world are going door to door. When I launched my company, I said, dude, we are not going to do any door to door. We are going to do 100% online marketing and really master the sales funnel, really master, all the different traffic sources through YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. And so that's what we did. And for me, the really big game changer is most guys in my space, the owners don't understand their marketing strategy, right? They hire people to do it. They throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And so for me, since I really dug deep and really understood my marketing strategy, it was much easier for us to scale it. And then to bring guys in-house to actually do the work once I knew exactly how to course correct them, give them the direction, everything like that. And so, I mean, it's been amazing ever since. Like I said, we generate 100% of our business online, and it's scalable because we've recently, like I said, expanded to 4 other markets, and it works like a dream everywhere else as well.
That's cool. Okay, so you got the Facebook ad. So the Facebook ad leads to an educational funnel, or does it lead to a phone call?
No, it's an educational funnel, which ultimately generates a lead, which generates a phone call, which my inside group reaches out, sets up an appointment. Then we roll a in the field sales rep, which sells it over the counter. Just because we're selling $30,000 to $50,000 products. It requires a little more higher trust than swiping a card online.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big transaction. So so why would someone spend $30,000 to $50,000? What was the biggest shift that you found that was like, wow, we finally people were like excited to actually spend 30, 50 grand in solar panels?
Well, it's just really understanding how affordable it is if we provide financing for them, and the fact that cost of power is constantly going up, and we can justify and show them that over time it's going to pay for itself. And it actually is, the same reason why you own a home versus renting, right? You have something going towards equity every single month. And so that's really what we preach. It's an equity purchase. And then of course, the green thing, I'm pretty conservative, but I can get behind the green thing a little bit. It's kind of funny. People always think it's funny that I'm pretty ultra Trump supporter and run a green business. So
no big deal. So you got $30,000 to $50,000 tickets. Some people are paying cash, which is excellent. 20% of those, they're just like, yeah, let's rock it. 80% is doing financing. So what were some of the biggest hiccups that you ran into when you left, let's say corporate, if you will, and then kind of did your own thing? What was some faults that are like, man, I don't know if we're going to make it?
Oh man, our first few months of business were pretty terrible. I mean, as far as finding good funding sources, good banks to work with. In fact, we had only one. Most banks wouldn't take us on because we were a startup, and a lot of in the solar world, basically the finance companies say, hey, you need to have a 2-year track record, but the only way you get track record is by having the financing. And so it's like a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
And so we found a bank that would work with us, but they're absolutely just a crap show. We had this bank that we were working with. We only had one contact, and she one time right at the beginning of our business, she was sick one week, vacation next week, and her son was in the hospital a week after. We didn't receive funding for 4 weeks, which in a business where you're out, so we're going out and we're installing these systems, and we're out $15,000 to $20,000, to put these things on a roof. And that's just being funded from our own personal credit cards, our own cash reserves, and you don't get it for 4 weeks and you're installing a couple a day. You go pretty negative pretty quick.
Yeah.
And anyway, so at that point, man, I was unsure we were going to make it. I knew it was just around the corner, but on top of that, we were facing a $1 million fine by the state of Washington for, we were doing what we thought we were supposed to with as far as like electrical licensing and things like that. And so it's just the whole operation side where, I mean, like I said, $1 million fine on our plate. We had it was crazy. And, for that time, like we were unsure whether or not, like I could not sleep at night, putting in 14, 16-hour days during that time. But the thing is, it was tough, but I've been through a lot of failures in my life. I went through a big bankruptcy back in 2011 was when it was finally filed, but from a company I started back in 2008, just kind of through that whole economy crisis. And so this was much easier to handle, having been through, some terrible things before.
That's amazing. So $1 million fine. I want to talk about that. So I'm going to write that down because that's always intriguing. Because that's always fun to talk about. And I think I still suffer from some like post-traumatic stress disorder from our legal fees. Ours was like $2 million. So, but I want to hit on something that most people don't know. And I'm pretty sure it's the same with you, but with the banking industry, to get financing, the interesting thing about financing is, yes, the client is going to receive a percentage, right? Over and beyond the amount of the sale. So let's say 17%, or sometimes they're as high as like 25%, which is just outrageous. But what's interesting about it is they are also making a percentage off you as giving them a client.
Right.
Which blows my mind.
Oh, it's crazy, man. If I had enough money, I'd run a bank.
The bank. That's what I'm saying. When you're the bank, you win.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I go and sell a $50,000 product, I'm paying a dealer fee, is what we call them, of almost 18%, dude. It's like $9,000 up front. Here you go. Thanks for financing it. And then on top of that, they're charging the customer 4.5% over the term of the loan, and it is unreal. But of course, the customer doesn't know. They just think they're paying $50,000. But in reality, they're only paying $41,000 and then $9,000 to the bank. It's unreal.
So to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, get this. Chris here is having to pay the bank an amount of money for them to say, yes, we'll finance this loan. So realistically, they're charging him to accept the client that they're going to make money on.
It's mind-boggling, man. If I had the finances set up, man, that's the industry I'd be in. They're making the margin.
They're making some margins. Yeah, that when you can be the bank, you win. So okay, let's go back to the past. The $1 million fine. So how did that come in like a letter that you received in the mail, or did you a phone call?
So the state of Washington, we have a governing body that governs everything electrical. And so here's the crazy thing is we started solar up there where solar is not a big thing, right? And so we are like some of the first to do it in this market. You go to California, their solar installers are a dime a dozen, right? Washington State, not so much. We have really cheap energy. We've got cloudy days. We've got different things. And so because of it, we're basically setting the precedence for this. And these inspectors and stuff have no idea how to even handle us, right? Yeah. And so we call up the central inspection agency. It's called Labor and Industries. And we say, hey, if we do it this way, are we okay? And they're like, yeah, thumbs up, you're good, right? Yeah. And then there's one little tiny local installer that does like 1 to 2 jobs a month, super small. We find out how they're doing it. And so we're like, hey, we're chill. So we start practicing electrical the same way that the central agency says we can do it. And the local installer is doing it. So we're thinking we're flying good. And we don't think we're doing anything wrong. All of a sudden, we have some inspectors show up on a job one day, and they freaking shut the job down. And we're like, what the heck's going on? And then all of a sudden, like, we have, like, it's like the FBI is investigating us. Like, no joke. They're like, how many proposals have you given out? Like, we want documentation of everything. Like, dude, they made us furnish everything. And we go to another electrical contractor that isn't in the solar world. I'm like, dude, what the freak do we do here? And he's like, just do it and just say you're sorry and give them everything they need. And so we're like, okay, we'll do that. So we give them everything they need. And they're like, listen, it's $500 for your first infraction, $1,000 for your second infraction, it doubles all the way up to $5,000. And then every infraction after that is $5,000. And here we are with like 200 infractions, right? And they want to hit us for every single person that's expressed interest in going solar. And we're just like, what the freak? And anyways, dude, like, I got attorneys calling me from the state, like all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, like, I did not sign up for this. You know, like I thought it was, and here's the thing is, and like, hey, your central office said we were okay. They're like, the central office doesn't govern it. It's the local office. And they're like, this is what we decided to do. And I was just like, dude. And so we went, you know, luckily we were able to fight them off for a long enough time. It took about 8 months before they actually finally came to a decision. We had to go through like court hearings and all this different stuff. We finally got it down to $18,000, paid $1,000 a month for 18 months. And so we're like, dude, we'll put you on our payroll. We don't care. Just stay off our back. Like, so, I mean, that was it. It was a fun, high stress situation, but a tough spot.
Over 8 months.
Over 8 months, yeah.
Like, you're just every day you're grinding. Like, am I doing the right thing or not? I got $1 million fine on my ass, and you don't like. You know what's funny is it came down to 18 grand, and if you knew it was good, or was it 18 or 13 grand, whatever it was?
18,000 bucks.
18,000. So it came down to 18K, and if you would have known that on day one when you got the fine, even like, I don't know, this is no big deal. Like, this is
like, where do I send the check, please?
Yeah,
you know?
send it over.
But the cool thing is like, we didn't let it stop us. Like, we shut our operations down as far as installation stuff for about 5 days, which sucked, but we got everything compliant with what they were asking for. And then we just went right back to it, even though the fine was on our butt. And we kept pushing, didn't let anything hold us back. So that was probably, you know, I operate under the adage, just do it and then figure out how later, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, so for us, that's what we were doing. We were just doing it. Like, we thought we knew how, but we weren't really sure we knew how. We figured out how later. We went back, we course corrected, and we made it work.
The one thing that was always going on in my mind was this is how your mind will play with you. And Tony Robbins always talks about getting your head, you're dead. And dude, right. I was dead and ours went for like 1.5 years. Our fine was because we were in like a lawsuit. And I always remember I was like, I don't even know why I'm showing up to work today, because I'm showing up to go and pay these guys. Like, these guys, I'm paying them. I'm just working to pay these guys. I'm not making anything. So what's the whole point? Is this bringing back flashbacks right now?
Oh yeah. You know, the thing is I've learned in my life that I always make bigger monsters than actually exist, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, we always think worst case scenario, like $1 million fine, my company's getting shut down, like I'm freaking losing my house, you know, like whatever, like I'm living in my in-laws basement. You know? like that's where I go. And then I remember, dude, I've been there. You know, I've lost everything. And when I lost everything, it really, I mean, even though it was terrible and it really wasn't that bad. And so I'm willing to go to zero, like on anything. You know, I bet it all every time I have a chance, because unlike most people are playing it safe, dude. I'm willing to go to zero as many times as it takes to get me to $1 billion.
There you go. I like that. I'm willing to go to zero. That's amazing. That's amazing, man. This has been excellent stuff. Okay, so now you got the pound. So then you do phone calls. So now you're getting phone calls. These outbound phone calls or setting appointments to do the phone calls?
We're out. So what we do is we get the information from the customer, and we have several different funnels, anywhere from very basic to like name, phone number, email, to very, very intrusive, like how much their bills are, you know, where they live, you know, and we do different ones because, you know, obviously the ones where it's very intrusive, much more expensive to generate these ones. And then we have different teams that reach out to them. So then from there, we're reaching out the follow-up, right? It's all about the follow-up. So we've got our inside group that's following up. From there, we set the appointment. From the appointment, we roll a sales rep. Sales rep comes in, does the initial appointment, gathers some information, comes back with a large proposal, and then we freaking teach hardcore closing, you know? And just being able to, you know, go in and get somebody to make a $50,000, you know, decision on the spot, a $10,000 decision on the spot, whatever it may be. And then from there, it's a 6 to 8 week process of pulling permits. And so one of the things that I do better than probably most internet marketers is I build systems and build people, right? Like a lot of internet marketers, they're pretty good at systems and they outsource everything, right? They got their guy in India, their guy in the Philippines, their guy in the US, doing a few different things. Like I go out and I freaking hire solid talent and I motivate, right? That's really probably the thing is like I'm a visionary and I can show somebody the vision and be able to teach them how to be a part of the team. And so, we've over the last 17 months, we built up our team. I think we're at like 63 employees now. And like I said, we'll probably be close to 100 by the end of the year. And the goal is to do $1 million an employee, right? That's
nice.
We measure our revenue on employees, right? How much does one employee generate? And so, we go, and so that's really the ultimate goal, and really building that team. And that's what, like I said, really sets me apart from, I think, most internet marketers.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. An internet marketer's superpower is lead gen or conversions or optimization, not structures or KPIs or people or, what's the other one? See, I'm even missing it. Which is like basically your systems, your operating procedures, right? Of how like the company just runs. Dude, that's my weakest power. Like I suck at that stuff. I am really good. My superpower is optimization, strategy, conversions, things like that. I can run that and like make that tweak really well. Once it comes to organization, org charts, and people and structure, I need somebody else. I need to hire talent. So which brings me to a good question. Is you started this new company. Who was the first person that you hired?
So here's the thing, and I would be lying if I said I'm the only guy, right? So I have my behind the scenes, right? So I'm the face of the company, right? So I go after Russell Brunson's expert secrets, right? So I'm the expert. I'm Chris the Solar Guy. To the when people see Facebook, when they see our website or whatnot, it's Chris the Solar Guy. When I'm on the news, whatever, it's Chris the Solar Guy. Yeah. But my right hand man, Daryl Kelly. We're 50-50 partners in the business. Well, actually not quite 50-50. We actually, one of the biggest things that has been able to help us grow our business is getting the right visionaries in place and the right people in the processes, in the support and whatnot, and giving them a piece of the pie. So me and Daryl control the majority of the business. We split that majority, and then we actually have 5 other partners that we brought in initially. Some guys are sales centric, some guys are operations centric, electrical centric, or whatever it may be. And so, but like I said, Daryl's my behind the scenes. He never gets much camera time. I know Russell's got a guy as well. I don't even know his name, right? So I mean, it's what it is. But yeah, so that's, I mean, having those key players. And the reason I decided to do that is when I built this company before this, I was a part of a sales organization, like I said, that we built up to about 300 million. The owner promised equity, right? So he did it for like, I mean, dude, the whole sales organization, he promised it was like, I don't know, 5% of the company, right? The whole organization to be split across. And I saw how these people slaved away for 5% of the company. I had a carrot over my, dangled out in front of me. Everybody else within the organization had these carrots, but the guy never fulfilled on it, right? And I saw how, and he did to a point, but it was never the way he said it. And so when I went to go do my own, I was just like, dude, what if I could actually not only promise it, but actually fulfill on it and bring the right players? Like, we could blow this thing out of the park. And that's exactly what's happened. Like, I mean, you get enough people bought in, right? Then it's easy to get the employees 100% behind the cause, right? They got to be all about my people don't work for hourly or salary. My people work for the vision, and like they see that they're a part of, they see that we're going to $1 billion. And the only way that we're going to get to $1 billion is by bringing them into management positions and bringing more people like them on board. Right. And so that's really, so like I said, I'm the visionary, I'm the sales guy, I'm the marketing. And then Daryl's my process guy, right? He makes sure that everything is X, Y, Z behind it. And then I have so many other people on board that do so many wonderful things. Like I said, I'd be absolutely selfish if I said I was doing this alone.
So first person you hired was your partner, Daryl.
Yep.
And then who was the next kind of like hire of those 5?
Yeah. So then it was my CSO, so my chief sales officer. So he was, gotta bring in sales, right, to freaking make money, right? Anything else. And then our next hire was our electrical. So our VP of electrical, that guy, he's got 28 years experience. He's like 55 years old, right?
And how'd you find him?
Dude, I met him through another company, and we headhunt hard, right? Like, I mean, we go when we see talent that we want, we get it, And the guy owned a solar company down in California. We convinced him to sell his solar company, come and take an 8% equity share in our organization because of the vision that we portrayed to him.
Yeah.
And the guy's so he picked up, sold his house in California, moved to Washington State, got behind the vision. He's been huge, very instrumental in far as building out our operations. And then we've rewarded a few other guys. So those were my first 4 like partners. And then the other 3 guys were based on performance, right? But I think the most important thing when setting up any partnership is making sure you structure it right, because, once again, I've been burned in past partnerships, and a lot of people are scared of that, right? They don't bring up partners because they don't think they're going to pull their weight or whatever. And so I think that, a big thing is the way that we structured it to make sure that everybody had to earn out their equity. There was nobody that was getting a free ride.
Yeah. All right. So you do the money, you make the money, the business is doing well. Are you mainly putting most of the money back into it? Are you paying yourself as you kind of progress through the years?
So we've been able to take several million off the table. So that is not reinvested in the company. We try to keep a few million in the bank all the time because as far as the organization is concerned, just because we don't operate on debt. Like we own 24 vehicles outright. Our fleet, like we don't carry loans on anything, right? And I don't know if you know this about me, but we actually operate out of my garage.
Nice.
So if you want to see some videos, and I don't have a typical garage. My garage is 3,500 square feet. So I mean, it's pretty unique. I own a small farm, 25 acres out there. I have my house, and then I got a 3,500 square foot shop that's on it. And initially when we had our shop, we had 400 square feet of it built out. And as we built the business, we've just finished off the shop more and more. And now we have the whole thing filled, added a bathroom and several bathrooms with a break area and whatnot. And so I literally, you should see it when people come out to my house, during the day, there's just cars wrapped around my circular driveway. I mean, cars parked up, it's unbelievable. But like I said, I hate debt. And so I hate debt for this aspect. I love debt for real estate and investment properties, as long as I'm structuring it properly. But yeah, so that's been us. So we keep money in the business, but yeah, I'm definitely a heavy investor. When I lost everything back in 2011, I literally had less than $1,000 in my bank account, and from day one, I was making money and putting it away, putting it towards real estate as soon as I could to be able to build back up my empire that I had lost. So,
so then you are putting money into real estate now, or not?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So every year I add to my portfolio.
So are you managing your portfolio or someone else?
I love to manage everything. Now, do I have property managers? Yes. For about half of them, and the other half I have my assistant manage.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally manage, and then I've turned it over to her. But yeah, so I mean, I'm collecting the checks every single month, not going through a management company.
Now, are all those properties in Washington, or you got throughout the nation?
So I got I have a couple properties in Florida. I just sold one in Utah, and then the rest are in Washington.
Washington, nice. That's pretty cool. So that brings you back to where you were on real estate, and then you had the big funding. So is your main purpose growing the solar panel to go grab and then sell it later, or get it to $1 billion then sell? What's the kind of the vision, the big vision? After all,
I love to sell it, but you know, and I want to be structured to sell at any point if it makes sense, but I'm not actively pursuing the actual sale of it, right?
Sure.
And so just making sure that my processes and my books and everything are in a position that anytime someone said, hey, I want to look at you buying your business, I'm ready to go, right?
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, that would be fun, but more I want to have a company that runs itself, and that's really what I've been working on for the last 12 months, is just dial into the processes and to be able to remove myself to work on the business rather than in the business. What's up, Dana?
Yeah.
How are you?
Always. All right. So before we switch to behind the scenes with Kommerce Kings, I appreciate you being on here. I know you got busy things happening. Everybody's starting to gather. Let me think. I'm gonna get a good one here. So what with the trying to think of how I want to phrase it. So going forward with the solar panel business, okay? From 0 to 10 million, you had certain problems. And then from 10 to 25, I would assume things didn't get easier. You had different problems. And so what was like one problem you saw from 10 to 25? And then I want to take you to 25, because your obviously goal is to get to 100 and then $1 billion. So what problems are you seeing from 25 to 100? So start with the 10 to 25 problems.
Yeah. So 10 to 25 is really personnel and then the beginning of perfecting your processes. And then 25 and beyond is all about processes, right? Having the right org chart. So for me, like I'm a big, have you read the E-Myth?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a big E-Myth guy, right? And so starting with a 5-year plan, looking at where I want my business to look like in 5 years, designing an org chart around that. And then, you know, me and my partner occupying 40 positions each, right? And then just realize, and for us, that's been our easiest way to grow, because when you have the org chart outlined and you know exactly where your processes are and who the people are or the positions that you need, it's easy to identify who you need to hire next, right? That makes it so simple. And now finding the right people, that's the hard part, right?
That's the hard part.
You know, going for us, you know, some ads online work, but headhunting is really the best, because you can identify talent that's currently working. Most people that are out job hunting don't have jobs, or they hate their jobs because they suck at their employment, yes. Right? And so finding people that are currently happy with their jobs, like that's been big. Like, for example, you know, I was looking for a videographer, and it was on the tip of my mind. And whenever I could potentially grab a videographer, I was looking for it. And one day, this lady from NBC, the local news channel, comes in. She's trying to pitch me, and on running some ads. And she's like, "We got this great kid. He's 21 years old. He does all of our videography. He creates our ads and everything." I'm like, "Really? What's his name?" and she's like Hunter Kronberg. And I'm like, "Oh, can you have him send over his portfolio? I just want to make sure if you guys are doing my stuff, it's good." So, dude, she gets him. So I try to go headhunt him on Facebook. He's not on Facebook very well. He is kind of, but then she gets him to send me his portfolio. And I immediately email him back. I'm like, "Dude, let's do lunch." I sit down the first time we do lunch, and I'm just like, "Dude, we need good talent like you. Come be a part of this." Dude, a week later, he was over on our team, you know, and like nice. Going after like that has been so important for us, is like headhunting the right talent. And then as soon as we identify any type of poison within our organization, we fire as fast as we possibly can, right? And so we've had several just energy vampires, is what we call them, and it's so important to identify those guys. And and the cool thing is when you get rid of them, there's like this immediate like lift within the organization. Like, oh, it's so good that they are gone. Like, I like them as a person, but they are terrible to work with. You know? And so that was like, you know, a lot of the stuff that we dealt with between 10 and 25, hiring the right people. And of course, that's always going to be the case. But right now, what we're dealing with is just freaking, you know, really dialing in that org chart that we initially started with. And then the processes, the procedures, you know, designing it just all the way down to like how they hit a keyboard, you know, Like, I mean, it's got to be so in there. And actually, there's a really cool tool. It's called Trainual. Have you heard of Trainual?
What is it?
Trainual.
A Trainual. No, you've heard of it,
Yeah.
Jared? Jared's heard of it.
Dude, so it's one of the very few things I've ever bought from Facebook ads. But
So they work.
so they work. So Trainual basically takes the E-Myth philosophy, and basically you can create a training manual. That's where it gets it from. Training manual. And it's all digital, and it's so well put together. The user interface is really well done. Like, if you're wanting to build your organization and get your processes and procedures, you'd get it on Trainual. It's not very expensive. It's like any software or whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely been a game changer. And then, like I said, so we're really working through like all of our project management, all that stuff, like just really dialing in communications, training our team. That's one thing that we do on a regular basis. We get our team together and we're like, okay, this is how you send an email. You reply all when you're CC'd, like just doing like the very basics that you think everybody understands and knows, but most people don't. And so it's really, the funny thing about us entrepreneurs is we just assume everybody knows what we do.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Communication errors, right? One left not talking to the right. So you mentioned E-Myth, which is a great book. What other training have you looked at, or do you purchase, or do you go through to teach yourself about systems and processes?
So we use Tony Robbins' Business Mastery.
Okay.
So have you been to his Business Mastery stuff?
Nope.
So I think it's $10,000 to go, but totally worth it. My partner actually is the one that attended that event. He's got a lot of different stuff that talks about how the process of aging within your organization, how you start out as a newborn to an infant to a toddler, and where you can identify your organization and the things that you need to work on in every state. So yeah, that's been definitely Tony Robbins has got some really good stuff. He's not just a motivator.
Okay, well, that's good. So we hired Jay Abraham for a year to work with him. And I know Jay Abraham is inside Business Mastery. So, but I've heard about Business Mastery, so I'll take you up on that one. All right. So man, this has been fantastic. I got to switch behind the scenes real quick because we're running out of time. But dude, is anything like, I don't think you coach, but I think you obviously got the solar panels. Do you coach? What's going on?
We do coach. So
you're coaching now? All right.
Dude. Yeah. So we run a company called Biz Hacker. And
cool.
Basically the thing that differentiates us. So we focus our whole business on the home service, right? So home automation, roofing, security systems, pest control, whatever it may be, like service as a product or service for the home. We coach business owners on that to basically move their marketing over to what we are doing. And really the thing that distinguishes us is that we're actively doing it, right? We're not a coach that learned how to coach from some other coach and now is teaching other people how to do it, right? We are doing it, and we share with people, what we are doing. And, for us, we're very particular on who we allow into the program.
Sure. Because
we don't like competition within our markets. But outside of that, we got people in Australia, we got people in Texas, we got people, that are part of that program. So
that's great, man. So Chris Lee, look him up. This has been amazing, dude. Thank you for taking the time away from Funnel Hacking Live to be on here and let these guys listen to do your story, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Trey. Thank you.
All right, brother. We're going to flip behind the scenes. Kommerce Kings. Let's do it. See you guys.